Okay, this is KP4MD. We've started live streaming on YouTube. Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta.
All right, very good. Well, it's 8:59, and I'll get started with the net in a few seconds. N6NA. Well, good evening. This is Wilson, November 6th Echo Mike Foxtrot, your net control operator for the River City ARCS Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City ARCS members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another channel, or frequency rather. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing.
November 6th, Papa Golf, Quebec, Bob.
All right, Bob, thanks for checking in. Good evening. Do we have another check-in?
Kilo Lima 7, Hotel Quebec Romeo, Neo in Antelope.
KP4MD, Carol, Citrus Heights.
QR, checking in from Antelope. Thank you. Any other check-ins?
Yeah, this is KP4MD, Carol, Citrus Heights.
Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta. Carol, good evening, Carol. Thanks for checking in. Anyone else? All right, looks like we have a pretty spartan crew this evening, but we'll get it rolling here. Hope everyone is doing good tonight, and we're ready to transmit some photos. I'll take the pleasure of transmitting the first one, N6EMF here in net control. Sound good? All right, Tom, W6BS, I heard from him on the 10-meter net, and I thought he would be joining us to show a photo that he took while in transit, probably of the hailstorm. Tom, are you out there?
This is Whiskey 6 Bravo here. Yes, I am.
All right, Tom, would you like to check in?
Yeah, please. I'm still setting up. I have a problem where I have to flip from the mic to my software and back. So right now I have the mic.
All right, I'll kick out the first photo, and here it is, Martin 1. Get ready. I'm realizing I don't think it transmitted. Let me do a test tone. Well, I'll tell you what, my PC is lost coupling with the signal link, so I'll let Neil, KL7HQR, go right ahead if he's ready.
Yeah, I think Bob was ahead of me.
I think you're right. Bob, I'm going to probably miss something, but I'm going to let Bob, N6PGQ, go right ahead. Thanks.
Okay, well, here we go. This is Bob N6PGQ. This is going to be sent on PD 120.
N6NA Net Control here. I was able to copy at least two-thirds of the bottom two-thirds of the photo. Before I continue, I'm going to do a quick test on my own here. I assume I was able to get tone out.
Negative tone heard.
All right, well, let me just go through the list. I'll start off with Neil. Did you copy Bob's photo, N6PGQ's photo?
Roger, this is Neil, KL7HQR. Good evening to everybody. A good copy here. Quite a few artifacts are nicely matching the motif of the picture, the greens and reds in a few places, but a good picture of Bob's Tower with the Christmas lights. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6 legs with some Christmas lights on the ground as well. Background, some lights in the horizon, other homes, and obviously taken at the sunset. I don't think he would be up with the lights on at sunrise. And in red, N6PGQ on the left. Good picture, and here he goes, Bob, with our wishes that soon that will be back up again. Back to that.
Okay, nice one, Neil. I'm going to do another quick test. I'm trying to get my MMS TV working. I'm assuming I got it that time. N6EMF?
QSL.
Oh, thank you, Neil. Okay, let me turn it over to Carol, KP4MD. You copy Bob's photo, N6PGQ out there?
Yeah, this is KP4MD, and we did copy that picture wonderfully. I'm going to actually have to go back to history to bring it back up again because there it is. Yeah, beautiful. It looks like a sunset or sunrise. I'm not sure, but kind of overcast and all the Christmas lights going up to his tower when it was in good condition. I don't believe that it's been restored yet, but very beautiful. Just a few, very few pop pixels here. Good picture though. Nice and clear. Back to net control. It's KP for MD.
Late check-in for Alpha India 6, still to call.
All right, good evening, Joel. Welcome to the net, AI6DG, and thank you for checking in. We were just getting through the first photo that Bob sent, and we were 2 down the list on describing what they saw. And I'm going to come in and say, yes, I was able to copy the bottom two-thirds of the photo, and I can't tell what it is except that I can see that it's a tower with some lighted elements coming down, or guy wires are lighted possibly, and I can't tell that that's Bob's house, but it looks kind of rural, and it's kind of isolated maybe. It looks like it might be something else, maybe not at Bob's place, but possibly a commercial or government sort of tower. I'm just poking in the dark at what I think it might be. But it is a nice landscape photo with some dark clouds and light sky on the horizon, and sort of a townscape in the background. So there's my assessment of the photo, but overall it looks good with just a few pops in the photo. Looks good. Thank you. And let me turn it over to Tom, W6BS. Were you able to copy?
All right, well, now I'm trying to talk through the computer. Hopefully it's working. Yes, I've got, I believe that is Bob's Tower. 3 elements, it appears. I see strings of lights, maybe 5 coming from the top down, maybe on the radios. And at the bottom, maybe it's even going around the perimeter. It looks like from corner to corner of the existing lights. So it looks very much, I guess, the equivalent of 2 Christmas trees, perhaps. And definitely, I'd say sunset is a yes. I don't see a
right, some feedback for Tom. I could hear everything you said, but I had to crank my volume up about 30% around the clockwise to be able to barely hear you. So I don't know if that is helpful to you, but I can still hear you. But I'm going to have to crank it back down for the others, I'm sure. But to me, it looks like the outline of a bandpass filter. I've got bandpass filters on my brain right now, so this looks like the skirt of a bandpass filter. the outline of the lights on the tower. So there's my fun comment to add to Tom's. And Joel, I know you are just checking in, maybe a little late, but did you copy the photo by chance?
Yes, I did. I didn't hear since before the net started. I had my wrong audio devices set on my computer, so even though I was talking at you guys, you weren't hearing me. So I received it quite well, with few pops. I see just a little bit to right of center a crank-up tower. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 sections with a step IR up on top, and Christmas lights going to the top, and one section of the tower down from the top. Little droopy, so I'm assuming they're by themselves, not actually on the guidelines. And there's kind of a boom sticking out a little bit just underneath the rotor on the step IR. So I'm assuming that's being used to crank up some dipoles. There's also a smaller crank-up tower just to the on the extreme right edge with a lot shorter. It's got some beams on top of it, and maybe even a vertical at the very top. So that must be the VHF UHF tower. And something just to the side of that tower, I can't really tell what it is. Maybe it's another building or something, but this is obviously out in the middle of the country, because there's just you're looking across fields at stuff I can't tell what is, but it's obviously in the distance. Looks like it was a nice sunset or sunrise. Back to net, AI6DJ.
All right, nice one, Joel. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Bob. Bob, tell us what you got. What did you send us? Thank you, N6NA.
Well, he hit it pretty much nail on the head. The picture's looking to the east, so it's a sunrise. And the yard arm that's below the step IR is one that I used for the 80-meter inverted V. And you can barely see behind the tower a small pole sticking up, quite a few yards back that the Dacron line for the inverted V hooks to on that end. And then the building he's talking about is my shed, and there's another shed just a little bit to the west of that, and that's where the other end of the inverted V goes. The tower on the right's a 30-foot or 33-foot crank-up tri-X tower, and it has from the bottom, it's got a 2-meter horizontal beam, a 220 vertical beam that was done by Ham Pro, and above it's a 440 Ham Pro beam that I'm using right now, and above it's a vertical 2-meter antenna, and that's my UHF station. You can't see my 10-meter antenna because it's on the shed that's a little bit out of the picture to the right. So he got it, hit the nail on the head. You can see in the background a few telephone poles, and that's out on the far street past the field back there. So that's the picture, N6PGQ.
All right, Bob. Well, that's quite impressive. Can you tell us when was this photo taken?
Well, sometime around, Christmas time this year.
All right. Any other follow-up comments or questions for Bob, N6PGQ out there with his tower photo?
Quick comment. Didn't realize that you would be getting up at for a sunrise picture. It looks really good.
Well, all right. Let's see. I missed my chance to send the first photo, so I'm going to do that now. If you're ready for it, it'll be a Martin 1. I'll take pause and see if there's any other comments for Bob. Give it a couple seconds. If not, I'll fire off a photo. All right, N6EMF Net Control has just transmitted a photo, and what I'll do is I'll go in a random order this time and give Joel the pleasure of letting us know if he was able to copy the photo.
Yes, I received it quite well. Took me a while to realize I was looking at, I guess this is like four photos in a collage mode. And I'm assuming we're looking at piles of hail, the weather from the storm this afternoon. Because of the top little strip, I see part of a backyard. You can see like a hedge on the right, and in the very background, just the very bottom little bit of a tree trunk. And it's grass, and it's got sprinkles of white here and there where the hail is piled up. The lower left is you're looking at a fence and a pile of hail against the fence. In the middle is that same tree, I'm assuming, and piles of hail in the grass in the foreground. And on the right, there's a car, and it's a white car, so unfortunately the hail kind of blends in with the car, but I can see some blotches of white around the windshield and the windshield wiper that must be piles of hail, and that matches with what I saw as I walked out to the car earlier this evening to drive home. The whole back of my car was white, covered in hail, and there was white hail around the windshield wipers. So as I drove down the road and cleared the windshield, it brought up this huge pile of hail that stuck to the side of the windshield. And it was one heck of a storm up in Citrus Heights where I was. The whole house, the building was shaking, and I looked out the window and could see piles of floating hail floating across the driveway and into the across the parking lot and into the drain, and the little bit of roof that was on the back part of the building was totally white, covered in hail. Back to net AI6DG.
All right, very good, Joel. AI6DG has done a great job kind of elaborating on what he saw. So thanks for copy update. I'm going to go backwards. Tom, W6BS, go right ahead if you were able to copy my photo.
All right, this is Tom, Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. I see pretty much what has been described. I see that along the fence there's I guess you'd call it a hail drift, if you will. So I'm thinking what I'm seeing is that you caught it not while it was happening, but it had melted a bit, because I can imagine your grass would be completely covered and your windshield of your car would be completely covered, along with the tops of your car. And same with along the fence. I think obviously that's a shaded area and it's getting less sun and hanging in there a little longer. Anyway, we'll see if we're right about that. Back to net control, Whiskey 6 Bravo here.
All right, thank you for that, Tom. Carol, how copy? KP4MD and 6EMF.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. Well, everybody could see what I've got on uploading to YouTube. Exactly what everybody else is saying there. You've got the nice sprinkling of hail there in front of your car, over there in the corner against the wall, and over in the backyard. Quite impressive. Back to net, this is KP4MD.
Very good, and hello to all the YouTube viewers this evening. Always like to give a shout out to them, and appreciate you watching the SSTV show tonight in 6EMF. Thanks, Carol. Turning it over to Neil in reverse order, KL7HQR. Neil, were you able to copy?
Yes, very much. This is KL7HQR. Good copy, very few artifacts, and it was good enough that I can read the colors N6EMF on the license plate of Toyota. And we did, so I cannot add anything else to what everybody else said, but good copy, and we did not have any accumulation of hail here. We saw it falling, but it didn't accumulate at all. So we were right on the edge of it. So back to that.
All right. Thank you, Neil. First recognition of the N6EMF license plate here in California. So very proud of that plate. Wasn't easy to obtain, and there's a story behind that too. N6PGQ. Bob, were you able to copy N6EMF?
Yeah, I was. Very nice collage there. And the only thing I could add is it looks like the hail has stuck to the center picture in the bottom on the side of the trunk of the tree. It looks like it's filled in some there. It hasn't quite melted. At least it looks like that to me. It may be just a trick of lighting. Everybody else did a good job of describing it, and I was going to mention I could read your license plate with a little bit of magnification, but came out real N6PGQ.
Right. Well, thank you for that, Bob. And let me kind of explain the photo. It is a collage, and I just stitched together 4 different photographs in Microsoft Paint. Imported this from my iPhone and moved it across the iCloud to a Windows-based computer and manipulated it in Microsoft Paint and brought it into MMS TV. But what you're seeing on the there's bark damage on the tree, because when my boys were growing up, they got a hold of one of my axes or some other type of cutting tool, and they damaged the tree. But I still love them, and that's what kids do, right? But yeah, this tree was raised with them. So the tree's about 15 years old. It's a silver maple, has some bark damage, and it never recovered, but still a strong and growing tree. And there's a combination of exposed bark and and hail on there. And yeah, there was no hail when I took the photograph, no hail coming down, but I wanted to share this with everybody. This is what happened in my neighborhood in Rancho Cordova, and my car got it, my front and backyard got it. This is the front yard you're looking at, and there's hedges, L-shaped hedges in the front yard from down the length of the property line and across the front. So there you go. I don't know what else to say. There's hail all over the place, and it looks great. It looks great, and it was lots of fun seeing it. So there's my story, and I'm sticking to it. My N6 EMF plate has been on 3 different vehicles in the family over the last 15 years, so having fun with that. N6 EMF.
Okay, I was going to ask you about the license plate story, but you made it short and sweet, the N6PGQ.
Yeah, it was on, it originally got it put on my, okay, so my first call sign was KE6YAZ from 1995, Kilo Echo 6 Yankee Alpha Zulu. At that time I had an 83 Volkswagen Rabbit that I drove while I was in college, and that I transitioned to N6 EMF in '05. I had a RAV4 at that time. Then a late cousin gave me his pickup truck, and in honor of him, because he encouraged me in electronics, I put my plates on his truck that he gave me when he passed away. And when I was tired of dealing with the mechanical problems with his truck, I transferred the plates to my Corolla, which is something I drive every day. So there's a story. Hope you enjoyed it, and let me turn it over to KL7HQR if he's ready to transmit a photo.
Roger, KL7HQR. Let's give it a try, and this is PD120.
All right, I can't resist. I have to say that I was able to copy the photo. It's a pretty good color spectrum, some noise, it's a very small degree of blurriness. N6NA SSTV Net Day KL7HQR is at the bottom, and it looks like an aerial view of a city with a couple of guys. I can't tell exactly what's going on, but it looks like there's a couple of guys that have climbed sort of a lattice or a building, and they're hanging off of a structure that looks like delta type of structure, but it's very difficult for me to articulate what I'm seeing. It's sort of a mind twister. So I'll just turn it over to Bob in the order of the check-in in 6PGQ. Were you able to copy?
Oh yeah, I was hoping someone would figure this out. Obviously, we're looking down, and the guys are either installing the top of a tower or changing the light bulb. It looks like the red flashing light on the top of a tower. As you're looking down the tower that's coming up from the top of a building, it almost looks like it might be the World Trade Center, because the building to the left is kind of rectangular and just about as tall as this one would be, judging from the perspective. I don't know why there's a grid all around, except it might be, safety or something to that effect, so they don't fall down. Anyway, you're looking down on a bunch of tall buildings, probably New York or another big city. It's not San Francisco, I don't think. Maybe Chicago, but probably New York in 6PGQ.
There's definitely a perspective aspect of this that needs to be solved, I think. But thanks for that, Bob. I'm going to skip over Neil and go to KP4MD. Carol, were you able to copy?
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I am going to guess that what you're seeing there are some cross dipoles. These are sometimes used for circular polarization in broadcast stations. And I'm going to guess maybe this is FM commercial broadcast. I don't think it's television, because they're using UHF, although perhaps it is. And that lattice works. It looks like a reflective. It's a reflector for the transmitting antenna. That's what I'm guessing. And this is the top of a skyscraper or some tower, looking down. And yep, it does look like kind of Manhattan. The blocks there. So could be some other city though. Back to net control. This is KP4MD.
All right, very good, Carol. Thank you for that one. Tom, W6 Bravo Sierra, go right ahead if you were able to copy.
Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. Yes, I was. And what's been described, it looks like looking down on tall buildings, some cityscape. The gridded stuff that's on the bottom looks like a reflection of the cityscape, so it looks like it's a very polished mirror-like, or even a window reflection of the buildings that you see, kind of looking down on them, reflected on what appears to be what they're standing on. I'm not sure what they're wearing either. Orange-colored suits of some sort. The one on the left, I can make out some hair. The one on the right, it looks alien to me. I can't even make a face out of that one. So, and maybe it's an antenna, like everybody's saying, but I have no idea. The person on the right, I'd like to hear more about. I can't quite make that person out. Back to net control.
All right, nice one, Tom. How about Joel, AI6DG? Copy?
Excellent reception, not too many noise pops. We're obviously looking down at a cityscape, so we're way high. Two guys looking down, working on an antenna of some kind. It's almost like a upside down umbrella without anything, without any fabric on it. But it's sticking out from the building, and we're looking down the building. If it's a building, it could be a tower. I'm trying to figure out whether we're on the side of a glass building and the grid is the pattern of the window frames, and we're looking at a reflection, or if it's a metal grid and we're looking through the grid, because it doesn't it doesn't look like a reflected what's in the top half of it. I think we're looking through a grid. Um, so then it must be a grid off of a tower, off of the top of a skyscraper, with the skyscraper being, the top of the skyscraper being in the center, because there's a big square thing kind of in the center, which is about where the skyscraper that a tower is on top of would be. And the two guys, to me, look like they just have heavy jackets on, not necessarily any particular outfit, just a heavy jacket. So it must be cold where they are. And the guy on the right, we're looking at the side of the top of his bald head, I think. But they're very intently looking at maybe a light bulb they're changing or something. This is a neat photo. When this first came up, I was thinking we were looking at a picture of those crazy young people that like to climb, or free climb, the things at the top of buildings. There's some real crazy photos of guys doing that in Russia and other places. But nope, these guys, I'm assuming, are getting paid big bucks to do some sort of work on a radio installation of some kind. I'd like to hear more. Back to net, AI6DG.
Thank you, Joel, AI6DG, N6NA FM here. I'll turn it over to Neil himself, KL7HQR. Go ahead and tell us about your photo. Thank you.
This is KL7HQR. Before I do that, I want to let note that there was a lot of popping on a repeater now. I just noticed for the first time when Joel was talking. And, well, this picture is a picture that I got from the internet quite some time ago. It was in a group under the title, Quit Complaining About Your Job, because there are worse jobs there. And it impressed me to no end, because I don't know if it is Manhattan, it seems to be because of the height, but what impressed me is that they are obviously on top of a tower, quite a tall tower, on top of a very tall building. And to get an idea how tall that building is, if you look at the 11 o'clock building that Bob mentioned, but potentially another World Trade, you can see how tall that building is, and the top is way below this one. So they are up. And yes, the description of the picture is that they were two workers on a fall day working on top of the tower they claim to be over 800 feet tall. The gentleman on the right, as he was described, he has just a bright orange jacket with a hood, which is down around his neck, and he is bald. The other gentleman also with a net. I have no idea what the netting. It is not a reflection. It is we're looking through an open net on the right and left bottom sides, and you can see the rest of the cityscape through that net. But anyway, I wish I had more specific information on this. It just impressed me a lot. And since some of us used to climb tower, I figured it would be a good opportunity to show it. Back to that.
All right, a picture is worth 1,000 words in that context. So gratitude, I think gratitude is a good one for this photo. Thanks for that, Neil. Any comments, questions for Neil on this wonderful photo? Carol, turning it over to Carol, KP4MD. If you have a photo, please transmit now.
Okay, just one moment here. Let me go ahead and load it in. This is going to be PD120.
this N6NA FM Net control, I was able to copy KP4MD Carol's photo. About as much as I could say about this is I could see 24 sectors arranged, increasing from 0 to 23, going around clockwise orientation, and apparently concentric rings that, based on our context here, must be related to the ham band. So you got 10, maybe 10 meters, 12, 15, going all the way down towards the center of 80 meters. I don't know what the center represents, but if I had to guess, I would say that this somehow is connected to propagation conditions for different bands at different hours of the day. But that's just guessing. I really don't know. And I see a scale that's on a color gradient from 0% white, going across the color spectrum from blue to yellow to orange to red, and 100% at red. So that must all mean something. And I'm going to jump down to Joel, AI6DG, and see if he has been able to copy this photo and what kind of impression he has in N6EMF.
Excellent reception despite it being a white background. That helps because those pops would be more noticeable in dark background. But I think you nailed it. I didn't even notice. I was thinking it was 0 to 90 on the concentric circles. So I was thinking it was degrees, but then you said bands, and you're right. Those are the bands. So this is a propagation prediction chart, probably from one point to another, telling you what time of day 40 meters would have what level of propagation to some other spot. So it's not on here, so we're going to have to wait for the description to find out what. But you can kind of see how, let's see, what band is that? That's 30. Yeah, so you've got 30, 40, 60, 80 pretty much all the well, actually not all the time. Okay, so when those are not working, you've got pretty good propagation to the higher bands. And you can kind of see how the MUF, what is it, maximum usable frequency, goes up and down a little bit over the course of the day, because on one side it's close in, on the other side it's far away. Yeah, I suspect that this is a prediction of what bands would work when between 2 points. Back to net AI6DG.
All right, I'm going to jump around a little bit just for fun. Let me ask Bob, N6PGQ, N6EMF here. Did you copy?
Yeah, I copied the photo or drawing well. There aren't too many artifacts in it. You can see them, of course, in the white background. The thing I noticed was that at least in my reception, the circles are not completely a circle. They're stretched out with the top and bottom closer together than the left and right. So it's apparently made to fit onto a larger piece of paper that's set horizontally, and it looks like someone's item of interest was 40 meters, so that's about all I can say in N6PGQ.
Yeah, my curiosity is increasing now. How about Neil, KL7HQR? Thank you, Bob.
KL7HQR. Yeah, agreeing with everything that everybody mentioned. It's kind of interesting. I assume this to be in UTC time because 80 meters seems to be, assuming the red to be 100% open. The red it goes from 40, 60, and 80 between 0500 and and about 1500. So that's during the day. But during the UTC day. So I don't know. I'm a little confused on if there are bands, which they seem to be, what the 100% and the 10% are. Also, it says one out 40 meters, 99%. So very intriguing. Waiting for the corrections and explanations. Back to that.
Okay, thank you, Neil. I'm keeping everybody on their toes, going in random order. Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. Tom, were you able to copy?
This is Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. Yes, I was, and it's familiar to me. And we should probably talk about this if people haven't used it before. This looks like a graph that would be created on a website called voacap.com, Voice of America cap.com. It is, as everybody has seen, a 24-hour clock going around the perimeter, and it's this particular model uses sunspots, so it varies from day to day. And it's a probability of propagation depending on, if you're looking for a place from point to point, say this is in Europe and you're in California trying to reach them, you can see what bands would and what time of day you might be able to reach that location. Now, I've used it quite a bit, and it's a nice little tool. So if you're doing DX work, go here, and it'll give you an idea how to hear those far-off stations and what probability of them that you would actually hear in what bands. So from 80 to 10, 12, 15, 17, you can see those on the vertical, and I don't know that I've always heard a 50% probability, but definitely 100% means, man, you're going to hear them pretty well. And you can see that on some bands, for whatever these 2 points are, maybe 17 meters would be a good band where you can talk most of the day. So that's what I see. I think that's what it is, Carol. Back to net control, Whiskey 6.
That's getting us a little closer to something, so thank you, Tom. W6BS, N6EMF here. Carol, KP4MD, it's your turn. You're up. Tell us what this is all about. Would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, this is KP4MD, and yep, you were all very good on that, and Tom was very specifically correct. This is the propagation wheel, which is one of the graphic representations of expected propagation on HF on the VOACAP. That's voacap.com website. This particularly was for the path between JoJo and a station K3PA, which is in Kansas. And he put a spot report from Reverse Beacon Net for a station in Kansas that had copied him sending CQ on 40 meters, and it was at 10:30 UTC. So I went ahead and I went to the website and I put in JoJo's grid square, and I put in the grid square for K3PA, and I said, give me the propagation wheel, and this popped up, and yeah, it's UTC time from 0 hours all the way to 23 hours, and those are the bands starting from 10, 12, 15, 17, etc. And it gives you a reliability percentage of the expected uh, ability to make that contact depending on the mode that you're using and your power. So you specify the mode. I specified CW. I specified the power as 100 watts. And you can also specify the antennas. Now, the default antenna for 40 meters is a quarter wave vertical at the transmitter site, and then there's a half wave dipole up about 30 feet at the receive site. So you can always change those, but those are the defaults that they have. On the other bands, they have different antennas. And the really neat thing about this wheel is with your cursor, you can pull your cursor over any of those different colored blocks there, And what will happen is right in the center of the circle, it'll pop up with the time. That's 10 UT. That's 10 UTC, which is actually 2 a.m. here. And it shows on 40 meters, you have a 99% chance of making a contact. That's a circuit reliability. So for that particular prediction, I went down to the 10 o'clock uh, wedge, and then I put it right over the 40-meter ring, which is nice dark red, and it came up to 99%. So that's really interesting. So it's a good way if you want to make a sked with a station in some other part of the world. Just put their grid square in there and put your power and what mode using, CW or single sideband, and then you can look, just pick the one that's the reddest and say this is probably the best time for a sched. Of course, it does not take into account the daily variations due to magnetic storms and solar flares and all that. There's always going to be some variability that way. So this is more or less a probability predictor, and it's based on observations over many years and many different solar cycles. It's a very useful tool. So back to net control, N6EMF, this is KP4MD.
All right, wonderful description, Carol. KP4MD and 6EMF. I think I got it all. I know what to look for, and we'll be pursuing more information and use of this. Any other comments or questions?
Scale 7 HQR. Carol, I assume that this is updated on a daily basis or on a specified frequency, over?
Actually, it's updated on the smooth sunspot number for the day that you're doing it on, and the season of the year also, and the part of the sunspot cycle. Oh.
Thank you very much. Back to Matt.
All right. Well, if nothing else for Carol, I'll leave it open for additional questions and comments. But if Tom is ready, go ahead and send your photo.
All right. It's getting late, so I can say that there's been talk about doing resources available for on the net or on the web, and this is one resource that we probably should talk about. More people need to know about it, and maybe there's a topic coming up that'll happen that way. I'm going to transmit in Martin 1, and let me get ready to do it.
Standing by. Go ahead. N6PS and 6EMF here. I was able to copy a photo which was probably color, but the color spectrum here is really just black and white with the probably a photograph that you mentioned earlier of the hailstorm somewhere in the area. Very interesting perspective and color spectrum. So I'll turn it over to Joel, AI6TG. You copy? Tom, are you still on the transmit?
Yeah, somebody has a locked push to talk button.
All right. Anyway, let's check with N6PGQ, Bob.
Well, it seems like the picture that I received did not line up. The whatever it is, bar in the bottom, post or something to that effect that appears to be on the dash of the car is offset by about 3/4 and about 1/4 of the way up. There's a demarcation line there for the whole picture. It's obviously a picture going down the road with the auto tracks. They're dark gray, and you can tell where the people have squished the ice down, and it looks like there's some ice, hail type ice on the front dash of the car, front hood, and that's about all I can tell. There's trees on either side of the road, and telephone poles, and power lines, and all that kind of stuff. Quite a few artifacts, more so than I've seen so far, so I don't know if the band's changing or conditions are changing, but that's about all I can see. N6PGQ.
All right, I pretty much saw that. Pretty good description. Very articulate of what's there. KL7HQR, Neil, did you copy?
Yeah, KL7HQR. Basically the same thing Bob says. The first 2/3, there is a slant, left to right, and there is a little pinkish, purplish sign on the bottom, like a little triangle on the left side, and then it seems to have realigned itself, and a new slant started developing. So there is the tracks on the ground don't line up. Looking at YouTube at the picture that Carol has, looks like either she didn't have that problem or she was. Well, I can see that on the original, on the receive end, it's there, but on the big picture that she's showing, it's not there. So obviously there is a way to fix that. But very impressive amount of ice on the ground, and also, like Bob says, quite a few artifacts on this one. But good picture all the way. Back to that.
Right. I'm looking on Discord and can see a photograph that is unbroken. So here in SSTV, it looks like the image transmission was cut and sort of lost its phase somehow. That was my perspective, but still looks good as a photo overall. I can discern. KP4MD, Carol, N6EMF, were you able to copy?
Yeah, this is KP4MD. Exactly. I got that split also, like about two-thirds of the way down. And what I did then to fix that is I right-clicked over the window, and you do a force resync. Um, and it then when you use the uh, click on the little magnifying glass, it comes up and it forces the resync, so it lines it up straight like that. But you do see a little tiny line horizontally right at the spot where this split occurred. And I'm not exactly sure what happened, but apparently it affected all of us. So I have a suspicion it's something that was in some kind of glitch in Tom's computer right at that point that caused a shift in the sync and the horizontal sync of the picture. So back to net control. This is KP4MD.
All right, very good. Joel, AI6DG, I called on you first, and I'm not sure what happened. Were you trying to describe what you copied early on, or something else happened?
Did you hear me? I gave a long description, but I may have had myself muted, so you might not have heard anything. Did you get just a carry?
Well, it didn't sound like a double at first, but I did hear a full quieting but no audio type transmission, and I couldn't tell where it was coming from. I thought it could have been that um, Tom was hung up on the transmitter, but I wasn't sure what happened. But it must have been you trying to talk without being able to get your audio in.
Well, I'm on a headset with a boom mic, and if I roll the boom mic up so that I can eat or drink, it mutes me, and I keep forgetting to pull it back down.
All right. Well, did you want to add anything to the description, or turn it over to Tom for an update on his photo?
We're running out of time, so just turn it over.
Joel, you're kind. Thank you. AI6DG is turning over his turn to directly to Tom in a N6EMF here. Go ahead, Tom. W6BS. This is N6EMF.
Hi, this is Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. This is Eastern Avenue in Carmichael, taking my car back from being serviced at Subaru and taking it home during a hailstorm, and following tracks where people ahead of me had kind of melted with their tires as they went. It was kind of nice to have a four-wheel drive vehicle because it was, and though it looks clear, or it appears to be clear, there's a lot of hail on the hood. My two wiper blades are mid-swipe, if you can see that the black images are vertical or sort of vertical. And there's some sideways, I guess, hail coming in. It was more like a snowstorm to me. And that's why I was looking at your image and thinking, okay, you got it after it happened and it had melted, because everything was pretty much white like this when it was happening. Back to you, Whiskey 6.
Well, it's a good test of a car like that. That platform that you got is well suited for the kind of weather you were driving through. So congratulations on getting your Subaru back, and it's a good test of whatever they was done to the car before you picked it up. Any questions or comments for Tom? I'll give a quick pause, and then we'll see if AI6DG is ready to transmit something. Nothing else? Go ahead, Joel. AI6DG.
PD120.
I was able to copy this photo quite well, and I have to do a slant correction. So I'll turn it over to Bob, N6PGQ. Were you able to copy?
Oh, yike. I don't like going first. We're in a what appears to be an airport terminal. No direction signs in the upper right corner. They have a very nice skylight, and people lining up, it looks like, to go through maybe a security section down in the very bottom middle. Looks like there's a shop in the bottom right behind the two people that are silhouetted there. A few artifacts, a little better than last time. That's about all I have at the moment in 6PGQ.
All right, nice one. Bob, I would concur with everything you said. I wish I had clues as to which airport or terminal this is. So there's my perspective. Was able to copy. Neil, KL7HQR, copy?
Roger, KL7HQR. Yeah, following up on what Bob said, the quality of the reception was good enough that I could read baggage claim, ticketing, airport terminal, airport tram, and then terminals with an arrow up on the upper right-hand corner. And I'm trying to read what's in the blue banner vertically in the center, but I cannot discern that. It does not look unfamiliar to me, that type of ceiling, but I could not place it. So back to Nick.
Fair enough. Thank you, Neil. Kilo Papa 4, Mike Delta. Carol, if you're out there, were you able to copy?
Yeah, you can see what I got on YouTube. And yeah, there was a bit of a slant. I tried to do a resync and a reslant, but I still have a split down about 2/3 of the way of the picture. There's one split there even after doing the resync. But otherwise, it's a pretty good picture. I'm not even sure where this is. So back to net control.
Thank you for that, Carol. Tom, Whiskey 6, Bravo Sierra. Were you able to copy?
All right, I've turned my Bluetooth off, so I think I'm using the mic. Is it working? Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra.
All right, to me it looks like a microscopic view of a Elecraft KX2. That's what's on my brain, but what did you get, Tom?
All right, well, I'm wondering what this, in the ceiling, looks like to me a dinosaur bone. I'm not sure what that is. So hanging, suspended from the ceiling. So it's not just an ordinary travel. There's a sign up close that says travel assistance and some arrows for baggage claim. But what looks to me like some kind of a neck bone or and a head and some kind of dinosaur is what I'm seeing, or just I'm not making out what this is, and I'm finding things that aren't really there. Back to net control.
I think it must be fatigue for me, because until you mentioned that, I wasn't able to pick that out. But yes, it looks like a skeletal system of a large animal, possibly a dinosaur or a giraffe or something, I suppose. But let's let Joel tell the story. AI6DG and 6EMF. Go right ahead with the narrative on your photo. Thank you.
So I'm passing through Chicago O'Hare. I get off. I'm doing a transfer from one plane to another. I get off the plane. I walk through the terminal. I start walking to my other gate. And I'm going between the terminals such that if you've been through Chicago O'Hare, you might remember an underground tunnel where there's these really pretty neon lights turning on and off above you, different colors. And you go up the escalator, and I start walking down the terminal, and lo and behold, yes, there's a dinosaur skeleton stuck in the middle of the terminal. So kind of just off to the right of center, up by the skylights, is this head, and there's this long neck going down to front legs and a shoulder and ribs. So just to the left of the if you zoom in, you can see a Wi-Fi sign, and just above where it says economy, and just above and to the left of where the people are in line are these two large leg bones going down to the floor, and shoulder blades and ribs going off to the left of that. And it just struck me as interesting and odd, and I took a picture of it and went on to my gate and waited for the plane to finally get home to Sacramento. Chicago O'Hare is always so interesting and pretty and hectic because it's a huge airport, and fortunately I've only had one occasion where I had to run from one end of the airport to the other, and the only reason I got there because I'd been there before and knew what I was doing. So airports can be such a hassle, and travel days I always hate. Back to Net AI6DG.
All right, Joel. Well, thanks for sharing that, and I wonder what the transit time from mouth through esophagus for this dinosaur would be. But yeah, I think I've been through Chicago one time and don't remember this airport at all, but maybe just once in my lifetime. So a well-traveled guy. Thanks for the photo, and let's see if there's any comments or questions. If not, I'll aim to close the net shortly. All right, we had 6 check-ins, a really good round of photographs tonight. I want to express appreciation to everybody that joined in with us tonight, and special thanks to the YouTube viewers or the YouTube audience out there, and just hope to see you again next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed, 10:07 p.m. Pacific Time. This is Wilson, November 6 Echo Mike Foxtrot, wishing all of you a good evening. 73.
Green Guy Scale 7 HQR.